welcome back to the Comic Cosmos. Today we're reviewing Stargirl Season 1, Episode 8, giving you an in-depth breakdown, Easter eggs, and theories on the episode. So of course, there'll be spoilers on the episode. So if you haven't seen the episode, I recommend you go watch the episode. Anyway, grab your popcorn and get ready to go deep into Stargirl Episode 8. So the previous episode introduced Courtney as Shiv, and at the end of the episode it left Courtney wounded from her fight with Shiv. And we also got a little feature from the real star of the show, Janitor Justin, and a little tease of what's to come. I mean, last episode was really good, and I really couldn't wait to see what happened next. So we start off the episode with Barbara, who in the last few episodes we really haven't seen much of, as it was centered around the JSA. So we see her at a restaurant with Jordan McKent, who she has a pretty good relationship right now, and he has really made her feel welcome in Blue Valley, and it almost feels like he could maybe be trying to start something more than just a work relationship with her. I don't know if it's just me, but I'm getting those vibes. Anyway, she gets a phone call from Pat, and we see he crashed his car into a lamppost. He used this, actually, to explain how Courtney was so wounded from her fight with Shiv. I have to be honest, I actually did think Barbara was going to find out, as I didn't really know how Pat was going to get away with that. But it turns out Pat is pretty good with keeping secrets at all costs. So we get to see just really how much Pat cares about Courtney, as he destroyed his car which he loved so much to keep their secret. Now he does mention that they should tell Barbara the truth, as obviously he doesn't want to keep lying to her, but Courtney manages to convince him, for now at least, that he should keep quiet until they deal with the injustice society. Later in the episode he tells Barbara that they need to talk, but they don't, so next episode we may actually see their secret get out. I mean, it seems like many people know now. So Pat says that he will try to investigate Cindy, as he suspects that one of her parents may be a part of the ISA. We then see Courtney talking to her father, who's obviously she thought would be happy that she fought Stargirl, but he says now that she knows about the underground passages and isn't dead. He then tells her to go home and actually threatens to take off his hood if she doesn't, which freaks her out a little, and we later see his name is Octashiro Nito, and he was a scientist who worked for the Nazis, and he was presumed dead when an explosion went off, so it seems he managed to stay alive, but his face got damaged from the explosion, some sort of thing, I guess, and at the end we see his skin is like scales and is like a green, like dragons. I guess that's why it's named Dragon King. So Cindy kind of decides to go on her own, as it seems she'll never get a seat on the table of the ISA anymore. We then see Pat actually begging the cosmic staff to help him protect Courtney, and he says like Starman was an adult, but Courtney is just a kid, and she isn't ready for it yet. Now the staff does understand Pat, and it kind of shows how it's almost like a person in a way. And when Courtney tries to take it later, it is a little hesitant, but eventually gives in. And it seems that the cosmic staff is actually a lot like Courtney, as they want to obey Pat and make him happy, but they also want justice against all the ISA. We then see Rick, Yolanda, and Beth, who obviously want to get revenge on Sydney. And Rick is obviously very angry as usual, and Beth is actually the one who comes up with a plan, which is cool, as she is kind of the one with the least training, and her powers aren't really the best for fighting. So it'll be interesting to see if she can actually be the one who gives the ideas for the plan, and be like the level-headed person who keeps the team in check when Pat isn't around. We then actually see Icicle, who meets with Ed Riley, who used to work for the company who poisoned the water supplies, which killed his wife, which we learned a few episodes back. So he never actually profited from it, or even had the idea, but he kills him because he never blew the whistle on the operation. Icicle then freezes him to death, with the most cold-blooded kill we've seen this season, so I guess he won't be whistling ever again. Now the next little scene is interesting, and I really enjoyed it. This was when Henry King Jr. learns more about his powers, as he thinks something is wrong with him and goes to take some medicine. And he gets the pill to hover in the air for quite a while, and he seems to be learning more of how to use it, and better now actually. So the JSA planned to go into Sydney's house and to try to find anything about Sydney's family using the Dr. Midnight goggles, of course. And Pat, who actually also wanted to investigate, doesn't want them to go and get themselves into danger, but he actually manages to get wound up in their plans, and he has to pretend to be Beth's father. We then find out that Cindy isn't there actually, and we find out that she's actually going to visit Courtney, which I'll talk about later. So we meet Bobby Berman, who we see almost as confused as to why she is what she is, and is doing what she's doing. as we found out that Sydney's dad conditions them to act like Sydney's normal mother. So Pat and Beth go inside, and Beth tries to find clues using the goggles, and she finds out that Bobby is actually unidentified. So Dragon King must have changed her face if as well when when he brainwashed her. We then get a little scene of Beth walking around the house with the goggles, and I really love these scenes as it shows so many Easter eggs that you can find if you go through the scene again. So Beth finds the door to the basement, and the code is actually 1999, which could be a little Easter egg to 1999, which was the year that Jeff Jones actually created the character of Stargirl in the comics. It was also actually the first appearance of Shiv in that year. She goes down to the ISA HQ, and we see that the goggles and her communications stop working as there's no reception. And this was a pretty cool, tense scene of Beth walking through the tunnels, and I was half expecting something to happen to her, but fortunately nothing does. So she then sees Solomon Grundy, which freaks her out, so she decides she better go back up. She then goes back up to Sydney's bedroom, where the goggles see pictures of Sydney, Henry, and another person known as Jenny Williams, who may be related to Jakeem Williams, who we know is in Blue Valley, and he actually becomes the next Johnny Thunder in the comics. So that's a cool little Easter egg. She then finds a picture of Sydney's dad, and she learns about who he supposedly was. So Cindy is obviously visiting Courtney, and Courtney obviously is very nervous as she knows Cindy is Shiv. And then we get little teasers while she's there that show that Cindy may know that she is Stargirl, and she says how similar they are, and just before she leaves, she actually reveals that she knows Courtney is Stargirl, and basically threatens her that she'll kill her friends, and then her. So Courtney obviously tells Yolanda, and just when Cindy pulls up to her house and they suit up to make sure Beth gets out alive, they open the window and get Beth out just in time, and Pat also gets out before anything bad can happen. Back at Henry's house, we actually see him find a key, which he uses to find his father's secret room with the brainwave costume in it. He also finds the files and letters about his relationship with Sydney, as it was all planned, and I think it will really be interesting to see if he'll actually be on the good side or the bad side, but I'll come back to that later on. So Courtney decides she needs to stop Cindy, so she suits up and goes to Sydney's house. Cindy looks around her room and only realizes someone took the photo of her dad just as Stargirl comes straight through the window to attack her. Now this time I would say Courtney had the upper hand and almost won, but Cindy at the end was ready to kill her, and Henry King Jr., who was probably driving to the hospital to ask his dad about what he saw, and he stops on the road where Stargirl and Shiv are fighting, and we see he was reading their thoughts and is a little confused. Just when Cindy could finish Courtney, Henry sends a brainwave, you could say, that knocks both of them, effectively saving Courtney in a way. In terms of whether Henry will be an ally or an enemy, I'm not actually sure, as in the comics he was very much a member of the Injustice Society, and Henry always has been a bully at school. But he most probably won't be like his dad, as his dad lied to him about Sydney, and it seems like he wants to do what's right in a way. I don't know, that's my thoughts anyway. Anyway, this episode ends with a little tease for the next episode, and I can't wait to see what happens next, which is actually named Brainwave, which will obviously go in deeper to Henry King Jr. and his powers, and whether he'll eventually be an ally or an enemy. If you enjoyed, a like would be appreciated, and I'd love to know any of your opinions, theories, or Easter eggs you think we missed. Anyway, thanks for watching, and until next time, cheers.